friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're going through my box of shame. That is the big box of makeup that sits just off camera right here that is waiting for me to review it, take pictures of it, use it in a video, whatever the case may be. In general, this box stays full a lot more than I care to admit. So today we're going to dive into some of the products. Some of these things I purchased myself, some of them were sent over by the brands, but in general, they're just things that I really want to try, but I just haven't found a way to make them into a dedicated video yet. So instead, we're going to try them out, first impression, speed review, and you get to see them in action for the first time. I have this newer foundation from Smashbox. This is the Always On Skin Balancing Foundation, and I have the shade L10-N. I've got a couple of things from Flower Beauty, their Afterglow Luminous Serum, and the Dream Warrior Mascara. A couple of blush sticks from Catrice. I love a cream blush stick, so hopefully these are great because this is the type of product I usually go crazy for. And then we have a couple of things from Profusion that I want to try out. This is their Pigment Base Eyeshadow Primer. I'm going to use the shade Neutral. And they also have some of these soft matte lip tints. So we'll swatch all three of these and see which one suits my look the best. And lastly, I want to use this Too Faced holiday palette. This is the Pop the Cork palette. I did order a handful of items from their holiday collection, but I have two different palettes. So I want to include a tutorial in my review video. For my dedicated Too Faced holiday video, you'll get to see this Popcorn Balls palette in action, and then we'll use Pop the Cork today. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to show you just my bare skin first, especially since I am going to be showing you a foundation today, and we'll try everything on. Let's see how it works. Wish me luck. Since we're going to be testing out a new foundation today, I just want to start off with a look at my bare skin. This is just after doing my morning skincare routine, and I am wearing a sunscreen, but I applied it about an hour ago. So this is makeup free, just regular, clean, bare face. That way you can see what we're starting with, get a better idea of the coverage. Plus, I'm just a fan of showing my regular, unretouched, unfiltered skin here because it's not perfect. I like it. I think it's pretty good. But it's not perfect, and nobody's is perfect, and you shouldn't compare yourself to a blurred photo all the time. So here's my regular skin. I'm applying the Afterglow serum. I didn't notice a huge difference, definitely a little bit more shine, but it's a pretty low-key glowy serum in my opinion. And I'm going to be applying the Smashbox Always On Foundation. This is L10-N, which is supposed to be a neutral undertone. In my opinion, this is still pretty yellow as far as undertones go. I do think that this is showing up quite golden on me. So maybe next time when it comes to Smashbox, I need to go for something decidedly cooler. Typically, neutral is just right for me. But I do find this neutral shade to be significantly golden. Once it's applied all over my whole face, it starts to even out a little bit. But I noticed when I was applying it, it's pretty yellow. Now the coverage is really quite nice. I automatically feel like this is I would say a light to medium coverage foundation. You could definitely build this up even further if you wanted to. And the finish is what I would call a satiny natural finish. It's not super glowy, but it's also not a very flat matte look either. It blended in very quickly and easily, so no issues there. I think it has a decently long dry down time, so you have some time to work with it and blend it in. It does dry all the way down on me, and I'm experiencing some fairly
dry skin right now just because of winter weather. And in general, I think this looks pretty good given the condition that my skin is in. It would probably be better for me in the summertime. I live in a humid climate, so I think that this will work better texture wise in the summer. But overall, no complaints from me here so far. Now let's pick a blush shade. I thought about mixing both of these, but I really just want to see how one of them performs. So I decided to go with the peach shade, just dabbed a little bit on, and now I'm blending it with a synthetic duo fiber brush. That's my favorite way to blend in cream products, especially cream blushes, because I think I get such an easy, quick, very diffused look on the cheek, and that's what I'm going for. This built up really nicely. I didn't have any issues with it pulling up the foundation underneath. I was a little bit afraid that this corally peach shade was going to be too bright and look a little bit garish on me, but I actually love the way it looks. It's vibrant without being so over the top that it doesn't blend into my skin nicely. So I love this. I think this is probably my favorite product of everything that I try out today. Not to give too much of a spoiler, but I really like the way that this wore throughout the day as well. Now let's move on to these Perfect Pout Soft Matte Lip Tints from Profusion Cosmetics. I have 3 different shades to choose from here. I wasn't really sure how my eye look was going to turn out, so I just kind of went for the middle option here. This is a warm, nudie peach shade, Loyal. That's the one I'm going to go with. And just a side note, I did end up taking this shade on my Vegas trip with me because this was so comfortable and it wore so well. I knew that this was going to be a super reliable all night type of lip product, and it was. So shout out to these, because even though I love the cream blush so much, just that's my type of product, this was a very close second. I was incredibly impressed with this. I gave it suitcase space, and I feel like that's really telling the whole story right there. Now we're going to dip into this Champagne Toast highlighter from the Too Faced Pop the Cork palette. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but this is really the highlight, you might say, of this palette. This is definitely the best part of the Pop the Cork palette, in my opinion. I think that the highlighter is much prettier and more impressive and high performing than the eyeshadows. But hey, you know, at least I got my juicy, casually sweaty cheeks, so could be worse. This is a product that I'm going to continue to test. I feel like I need to use this a lot before I really get a feel for my overall opinion. But so far, I have to say I'm impressed. I'm not quite ready to give up my beloved Ulta Matte Eye Primer, but I do think that this pigment base is pretty good. It's definitely a contender, but I didn't give it suitcase space yet, if that means anything to you. Now we're going to start working on the eyeshadow using the Too Faced Pop the Cork palette. And in general, my impression of this palette is meh. You know, it's not that exciting color-wise, and it's definitely lackluster performance-wise. The matte shades are quite a bit better for me than the shimmer shades. These are very soft, velvety matte shades. They're not super duper pigmented, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes I like a buildable, more soft type of look, and I think that a lot of people are into that type of thing. I like it. I think that this Velvet Rope shade is just fine and dandy. These 2 brown shades are okay, not quite as happy with them. I needed to work a little bit harder to get a smooth blend and start building them up. But in general, I would say the mattes are pretty fine. Not my favorites ever, but pretty fine. The shimmers are really where this palette loses me, especially because this is supposed to be a New Year's Eve champagne party. There's glitter on the front of the palette. I really wanted some great, intense, sparkly, metallic, slick, beautiful, just yummy shimmers. And what I got instead was a very lackluster, lacking sparkle, kind of dull, kind of dry feeling shimmer shade. And it just made me sad because I wanted that really, really rich metallic. I will say that the blue ended up being better than the gold shade. I got a little bit more pigmentation. It felt softer to the touch and it was easier to build up. That gold I had to pile on, and even after layering over and over and over, I still feel like the result was pretty mediocre. I hate to say that. I bought this palette with my own money, expecting to like it, expecting to enjoy it. Every year, I keep rooting for these brands. I keep rooting for Too Faced and MAC to come back to that old spark that we used to have. I used to have so much chemistry with these brands, and I feel like the last couple of years, the holiday collections in particular, have just been a bit disappointing. I tried to go back and add a little bit more drama with the mattes, and I do think that helped save it a little bit. But let's just move on. Let's try on some of this Flower Beauty Dream Warrior mascara. This has a short, spiky, more sparsely bristled wand. And I think that that helps to have a more separated, more wispy type of lash look, which is definitely what I got from this mascara. It also has a drier formula, so it's not prone to be spidery, sticky, clumpy, which I do like, but I feel like the flip side of that is that it took me a lot of layers to get to really be notable on the lashes. Now, after building these bad boys up, I do think that the lashes look really pretty. So it takes a little bit of extra work, but they never got clumped up on me. So I would say this is a medium, medium good mascara. Again, I like to use it several times before I decide. I will say though, after wearing this look for a couple hours, I didn't have a ton of mascara flaky fallout. So that's a good bonus for me. Usually with dry formulas, that's something that happens quite a lot. But this one, I'll have to tell you, I only wore this for about 3 more hours. But in that 3 hours, no mascara problems. And I do think that as I wore the foundation, it started to look a little bit better as it sort of melted in and warmed up to my face. Despite the mediocre eyeshadow, I would say that this finished look ended up being really quite nice. So I can't complain too much overall.
In general, I feel like my makeup turned out looking pretty decent, especially if you don't look too closely at it. From this distance, like a conversational distance, everything is fine. Once you get up close, you can tell the eyeshadow is a little bit iffy. The texture on the foundation just isn't the perfect thing for me, especially not right now because it just actually got really cold and a lot drier here. And my skin has not been coping well with the change. So I'm definitely contending with drier than usual skin. I think that's at least partially to blame for the things that I don't necessarily love about this foundation. I still don't think this is the exact perfect match for my preferences, but it's definitely looking better than I expected, and I'm going to give this another chance. I'm going to keep trying this out because I do think that once my dryness gets under control, this paired with a really hydrating primer could actually be a really beautiful medium coverage foundation for me. I'm sad to say that this Pop the Cork palette from Too Faced is the biggest dud of the bunch. I just didn't like how these shadows performed, especially the shimmers. The mattes are fine, they're okay, they're definitely nothing to write home about in my opinion, but the shimmers are so lackluster, and especially with this very celebratory, sparkly, champagne glitter type of branding, you expect at least good shimmers, and that's not what you're gonna get out of here. This is just a major letdown in my opinion. It's making me upset, so let's move on. The Flower Beauty items I would say are okay. The mascara is a drier formula. It took a little bit of work to build up, but I think it looks pretty good. We'll have to see how it wears over time, if it flakes off. When I get a really dry mascara like this, I worry that I'm gonna get a bunch of little mascara flakies. So the jury's still out, but so far, I don't mind it. Kind of the same feeling with this Afterglow serum. Maybe if I use this with a different base product on top, I would feel more of an impact. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I just feel very middle of the road about these Flower Beauty things. The real winners here are Profusion and Catrice. I really like the way this cream blush stick performed. I definitely see myself going back to the blush stick and these matte lip tints again. The lips are super comfortable. The coverage is really nice. It doesn't look or feel super dry on the lips, but you can tell it's actually really matte. So these are the big winners for me. Kind of hard to make a judgment on the eyeshadow primer since the actual eyeshadow itself wasn't really working that well for me. So this one, I'm just going to say the jury's out. I'll try it again with an eyeshadow palette that I know I like the performance of. That way I can really gauge the performance of this eye base. But all in all, I feel like this was not a bad run for the Box of Shame. The only super letdown is the Too Faced palette, but otherwise I feel like everything was either good or great, so that feels like a win to me. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these products. Have you tried any of the same things? Are any of these on your wish list? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! I don't know what I'm talking about. I think NARS would like a word about this one. I'm just kidding. Help, I can't talk. I forget what I was gonna say. I zoned out. Oh, why? Why Too Faced? Could have been so much more. I wish one of these brands would just let me consult for them. I would be such a good brand consultant for Too Faced or ColourPop. They both need my help this year. Or Lorac. I still keep holding out hope for Lorac to make some amazing comeback. Their eyeshadows, their formulas are so good. They lost their identity along the way. Hit me up, brands. Here to help. Is that a real job? Wouldn't that be so cool? At least the cheeks look really good. I will say that. All right, focus. Focus. What? What? Wait, what? Oh, I can't wait to take this eyeshadow off. It's so sad and disappointing. Why? The blue eyeshadow was the only shimmer that wasn't super terrible. I gotta go. I got some leftover pizza in the fridge that is calling my name for lunch. And I'm gonna go do some editing forever and ever. I will have another video for you really soon. I'm posting so many extra videos in November and December. And it's gonna be fun. I hope. I hope it's fun. So I'll see you soon in another video. I hope you're there. I like it when we hang out here together because I love your face, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye. Bye.